Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session.
Welcome to the back of the bus sessions. We're on the Old Farm bus. Do you know what? They say don't break the illusion, but I'm going to tell you why we were laughing. Because we were just at about, I'm going to say a good 5-6 minutes that we were both really proud of.
We were on a roll, on a really good roll.
And then everything just died. That started beeping. That went mad. So we're back. And I'm with the very wonderful Kane Ashmore, who's just told us 5 minutes about himself, but we want to hear again.
Yeah.
Kane, we're in strange times at the minute.
Yes.
It's all gone a bit bonkers.
Yeah, it has.
And you've got a lot to do with yourself at the minute. You're in the teaching world, you're in the music world, you're in the creative world.
Yeah.
How are you holding up, brother?
All right, it's very strange. There's a lot of, I've been saying to people, a lot of subconscious stress. I don't know what I'm stressed about, but I know I'm stressed, and I think it's because a lot of the plans have been dipping and going a bit mad. So in the music industry, a lot of our gigs have been cancelled, which we were planning for. I don't deal very well with change, in my day-to-day routines and stuff like that. Like I was saying to you, I need to find out what I'm doing on Friday to let you know if I'm coming on Saturday. Yeah. Even though it had nothing to do with it, I'd still be able to come. I need to know first, to get it all in my head. So gigs have been cancelled. Schools, I work in schools. I'm a behaviour mentor, so I work with kids that are close to being kicked out and kids with low self-esteem and stuff. And so I keep thinking, school's not going to be open tomorrow, or school's not going to be open next week, and then plans change and it's all over the place. And then I thought I'd be off for 4 weeks, but I found out that I'm going in next week to work with the vulnerable kids and stuff. It's mad.
Have you come up with ideas in your head? How are you going to approach this? How are you going to treat it? Or?
I don't know where I am or what I'm doing until Sunday.
No,
so I don't know what's happening. So that I could be going into schools that are still open. I could be doing online mentoring. I could be doing phone mentoring, or I could be planning sessions from home.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's get on to that, mate, because that is one area at the minute that I'm fascinated with you on, because we told this story before, but I could tell it again. When we first met at the Maze, I was going around and meeting all these different creatives in my little timid state, and you were performing with Motormouth on the night, and I was like, oh, these guys seem pretty chill, I'll hang out with them. Got talking to you, I was like, were you a naughty boy at school? I was a naughty boy at school. And I don't know, I just had this vibe with you. I was like, I like you. There's something about you, I don't know you, but I know I like you.
Yeah.
And then we had these good chats. Then you performed, and I was like, oh God, this is special. Honestly, it was amazing. So I've watched your journey. I've watched you grow. I'm your friend. I've seen all the stuff you've been doing. You're a writer, you're a singer, you're a rapper, you're a performer, and you're an educator. I too have found myself in this field of work.
It's crazy, isn't it? If you look at us 5 years ago when we first met to where we are now,
100%. And it's the one, for me, it's the area I least expected up in, because
me too.
Both kicked out of school, both had really terrible time. Oh, you didn't say you had a terrible time there. Sorry for putting words in your mouth, but no, tell me about school.
School was where I enjoyed school. I like school. I get nostalgic when I look back at school. It just wasn't for me. As much as it was for me, it wasn't for me, and it was mainly down to my temper and stuff like that, and me not being able to deal with certain types of people or certain types of situations. I was a class clown as well. Obviously, I'm a performer. I love making people laugh and making people smile a bit more than learning sometimes. But I was also smart. I was predicted 11, 12 GCSEs, including BTECs, obviously. But because of my history and my past and my upbringing, which I didn't realise played a part in it until I was older and obviously a bit more clued up, I just couldn't deal with confrontation. And my school was full of confrontation. It was inner city Nottingham. You had kids from St Anne's, Snenton, all these different areas, and there was a lot of confrontation.
Protecting their areas.
Protecting their areas. Just and teachers as well. I couldn't deal with being shouted at.
Is that how they tended to try and deal with you in them was shouting?
You know what? Hats off to my teachers. My teachers tried really hard with me and gave me so many chances. When a lot of people got kicked out, I was still there. I lasted longer than I thought I'd last, but eventually they obviously realised that mainstream education wasn't the place for me. But no, my teachers were good, and after a while, some of them learned not to shout at me and deal with me in different ways, or remove me from the situation. But then obviously there's still those teachers that are just and then I'd end up throwing a table at the wall or something.
And when you go into, because you work in different schools, don't you?
Yeah.
are you constantly just surrounded with loads of similarities with students where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from.
I've managed to get to a point now where I can tailor there's so many different aspects to my story. Like I can do it to do with anger, I can do it to do with crime, the justice system, mental health, like all sorts of stuff. So I've got so many different groups now. So I work with the kids that are close to being kicked out, traumatic backgrounds, fighting, getting in trouble, and then I've also got like groups that struggle with self-esteem and mental health and stuff like that, which I never like. They were always my tough ones because I love conversation. I love sitting down and just talking to kids. But those self-esteem groups, when you first meet them, you sit down and they don't speak. They're too shy. They'll give you like yes and no answers and stuff like that. So like it was quite an uncomfortable thing for me when I first started doing it. But now they've become some of my favorite groups because you really see them grow and come out of their shell. And like it's amazing because you see their personalities start to form thanks to the work that I've been doing with them.
Can you tell me a little bit about that work then? Because like for people listening to this, and if they've listened in and they're an educator, what are some of the things you've done for that? Because I've been in them situations like it's like, hey, okay, and you think you're giving all this energy out, and they're just like, they just go inside themselves a bit more sometimes.
They're the toughest sessions as well. I'd rather a kid flip a table and tell me to F off.
Yeah, because you can go and have a bit of
and just
chat.
sit there and say I don't know to everything that you ask. Like I've had kids where I've said, what's your favourite food? And they're like, I don't know. And it's like, if you could go and live anywhere in the world, where would you live? And they're like, I don't know. And it's like, and it's hard because I've got an hour to fill. Like it's a full period and I've got a plan, but like you'll have a session that can sometimes run over time, get finished in like 20 minutes.
And it's because you've had all these like tools and equipment in your head to deal with that. I've got my whole lesson plan here, it's bulletproof, all that. And then you fall at the first hurdle because they're just the first answers, I don't know. And you're like, oh, that was supposed to be like the triggering question that starts the whole session up. And they're just like, what's your favourite song? Which you think anybody would like to answer. And they're just, I don't have one. Not bothered about music.
And they probably do. They just don't know you yet and they're uncomfortable.
So breaking down them barriers, has it just been a process? Have you had a moment where you're like, oh, wow.
I've got this ability to like relate to people, and like when I speak to people, I'm really good at making people feel comfortable. So like I'm very good at analysing people as well. Like I've done it, used to do it when I was younger for the wrong reasons. Like now I've managed to tailor it for the right reasons, so I can read them and I know what I can say to make them feel comfortable. So I can pick out little bits and be able to say certain things that like brings their level of comfortableness. It's not even a word, but comfortableness.
It works on here, mate. Everything's a word on here.
Down to my level. So like I do a lot of mirroring as well. So like I'll mirror their body language to make them feel comfortable, which is like one of my favourite things to do. So if you've got a kid that's there and he's like sat like that, I'll sit the same way. Or like it's just little things like that. It's like psychology, I guess. Like it just makes them feel comfortable.
And is that something...
You get shirt and tie all the time and teachers sat there like da-da-da-da. But yeah, so if you do that, it makes them feel a bit more like they're with someone like them.
How did you know that to do that though? Is that something you've read or you've heard?
Well, I've read. Yeah, I read it later on, but it was just something that I kind of did naturally. Like I said, like I'm good at slotting into situations and reading people and like fit it. Like, because I spent a lot of my time doing that myself, like putting on a front and blending into situations that I wasn't comfortable in and stuff like that. So I think it's something from that I've managed to tailor into my work.
It is quite funny. A lot of the time I hang around with people that are quite intellectually based and they're just really smart people.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've done stuff where I'm like, I think I've created a philosophy thing, or I've done it like with filmmaking. I've done this thing like I've not had a word for it, but it's called dual processing now. I've worked out. So like a singer will be talking about a cup of tea and you're putting something that simulates it but not too obvious, not a cup of tea but you've got like something pouring. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I like this. And then this like really smart guy I worked with recently is like, oh, that's called this. And I was like, God damn it. And it happens all the time. It's like, so that mirroring thing there, you're like, oh yeah, this will make them feel better.
That's the thing with this job as well. Like there probably are names for some of the methods and techniques that I use, but I don't know. I just do it. It's just autopilot. Like I think it's empathy and compassion in it, and just being able to put yourself in their shoes and understand how they're feeling.
Because we're in the time of Corona at the minute, and everything's just up in the air.
Yeah.
I think we're moving into new territories for everybody, and especially with education, because we've lived for so long, and that thing that didn't work for you in mainstream education, where you've got 30 students in a class, and the teacher goes, this is how we're learning today, and then some work and some don't.
Yeah.
And now, because teachers are working from home, it's the information on the computer anytime kids want to access it, and all these things, and it's like, I think education's really going to change its ways, and we're in the stepping stones.
It's going to be tough to
it.
come back from what's happening, like especially if the schools, like some of the schools are talking about closing until September. That's 5 months. That's a long time. Like I was at school yesterday, bearing in mind it's March now, and the year 11s were signing shirts. It's their last day, and their GCSEs are potentially going to be done off their predicted grades. It's weird.
And I don't know what this is in my head, but for me, them students that work really well with teachers being there in class, telling them what to do, them simulating it and doing it back, I feel like they might struggle now. And the ones that you were talking about then that are streetwise and think for themselves and go and find information in places of stuff, I think they might actually come through quite well in this. This is just something I've thought about, and I'm like, because
it could either go really well or really wrong.
Yeah.
Like, because I know if I had 5 months off school when I was their age, I would not be doing anything good. Like, at all. I'd be doing all sorts of wrongness as I did when I was at school anyway. So it's like some of the kids that I work with, I am worried about, because like what they're doing is some of the schools are staying open for the vulnerable kids and the kids that are on free school meals and the kids of parents that work for the NHS, the police, or the key workers. So like a lot of my kids are on that list to stay in school, but they're not going to stay in school. Especially if they've got like brothers and sisters that are off school. They're not going to go
any
to school.
opportunity to get.
And good luck to the parents keeping them in the house for 12 weeks. That's not going to happen.
I do sometimes think the reason for our naughtiness in school, like for me, I was just constantly trying to battle against being told what to do. It was a massive thing. And when you like get to a place where you're not being told what to do, I had to find my own way of doing. And maybe they're just going to, if it goes the right way, discover that early on, and they'll find their own ways of doing, and that could be entrepreneurial stuff and things like that. It may grow in that way, and I hope one of them's listening to this now. Do it. Go think for yourselves and do them things. But I love listening to you. When you're going for your first session then,
it's my favourite session.
The children.
First session's my favourite.
Do you go and do like a bit of a talk first then, and just...
So first session is they listen, I speak, and then they ask questions at the end. So it's called About Me, and it's literally from birth to where I am now, and I tell them my whole life story, give them key parts of what's happened through my life and stuff, where I went, like the school bit, the law bit and stuff like that, and then like, because when you first walk in, they're like, oh, they've got a little idea what this is about.
The naughty kid in me is looking at you now like, I love this, I want to hear it.
So you walk in and like they see you're in trainers, like you're not dressed like a teacher, and then they're like, oh, this is weird, and then sometimes they look at you and just take you for a mug, like they think you're a bit of a donut, and then as soon as I start speaking and as soon as I say where I'm from and go into my childhood and stuff, their faces change and they're locked in, they're zoned in, and from that moment I can build a relationship. So last year I was mainly in Nottingham schools. This year I'm in Sutton and Ashfield, Derby, and Nottingham.
Awesome.
And last year I was in like Prues.
But they still know the areas that you're referring to then.
Yeah, as soon as you say St Anne's in Nottingham, like everyone knows St Anne's in Nottingham.
Give a rundown then of that area, because I've always come across the naughty boy from Ripley, and it's Ripley's basically known for the EDL, BMP, places
of course,
like that,
extremism,
breeding hate. St Anne's,
same as Sutton. When I work in Sutton, like you'll notice the kids in Sutton are so different to the kids in Nottingham. There's different reasons for they act out in different ways.
Now, what is it like growing up in St Anne's then as a kid?
When I was a kid, it was normal and exciting and fun, and like it was only as I got older and met people from different areas that I realised actually bloody hell, like St Anne's was dead different to like everywhere else. Like so me and Raf went back to do an Unknown Era video, you might have seen it, where we're talking about the lyrics between about Eyes of Innocence. And there was a bit where we go to a car park, well it's not a car park, it's like a recycling plant, and that's where we used to play football. So it's like a little recycling plant with like glass bins, and we used to get the glass bottles out the bins, like throw them at each other, smash them, and then we play football in the broken glass. And to us lot, when we were younger, that was just a normal thing to do. And then you say that story to someone else and they go, you used to play football in broken glass, and just like stuff like drug dealing was normal.
Yeah.
You'd hear about people, like when I was growing up, it wasn't necessarily knife crime, it was gun crime. So you'd hear about people getting shot, like, and stuff like that, and there'd be people selling guns on your street. And
How old were you at this point? Sorry,
this is primary school. So I can remember once there was in one of my primary schools, there was someone got chased down with a shotgun on the road behind my primary school, so it was on my grandma's street, and they chased him down. He ran off, like they fired at him, and then the next day in school, the police came into the school and basically like said if we who was it? Someone told me, but they came in and said if you find the shells from the gun, then there'll be like a reward in it for you or something like that.
For the kids.
Yeah. So it was crazy. So that was literally behind my primary
gun at
school.
the end of it.
But yeah, so there's
Wow.
loads of stuff like that, and then there's obviously the Danielle Beckin case, which is like one of the most famous ones, which is like 15 years ago now. So she was 14 at the time. I knew a lot of people that knew her. She was a little bit older than me, but she went to Goose Fair with some of her friends, and it was at the time St Anne's was beefing with Meadows and Radford, which still kind of goes on. That's a beef that's been going on since the 80s.
Yeah.
Like the kids don't even know how it started. But she went to Goose Fair, she was walking back with some of her mates, some lads from the Meadows were driving around, saw a group of people, shot into the crowd, hit her in the stomach, and she literally died in her mum's arms out like a minute from her front door. 14 years old, nothing to do with it. So that was like, and like St Anne's when I was growing up, it was classed as like the most dangerous place to live in St Anne's. But when you're in it, it's just normal. So I never knew that until like I left as I got older and realised, Jesus.
It's really dangerous, but also with these areas, like you see on Shameless, but I've also had in Ripley and things like that, like there is a sense of community there. Like
that's what I
outsiders-
miss about it. Like just going, like speaking to your neighbours, and like going down to the shop and knowing people in the shop, like that you've known since you were a kid, the same shopkeeper, and like just there's a massive community in St Anne's, and I love it for that. Like and everywhere else, like I've lived in Chilwell, Beeston, and no one talks to each other. Like no one knows each other. Like whereas in St Anne's, like when I went back with Raf, like I went back on my street and saw a woman that lives there, and she was like, Kane, I haven't seen you in years. We had a massive catch up, and then you walk down the road and I see a lad that I went to school with, I speak to him, and then you speak to someone else's mum and stuff like that. Like if I walk through St Anne's, I see so many people that I've known for years, or people that you don't even know that you just say hello to because you've seen each other's face crossing in the street.
And you touched on there with the gang stuff and people fighting, and you're saying it's still carrying on now. And it's just crazy how that breeds, isn't it? Like the fact that happened in the 80s, but the only way of that carrying on is the ideology that's being passed down to kid to kid to kid.
Yeah,
and they don't know what they're fighting for.
You just learn from your elders,
anymore.
don't you?
They
That
really
we don't
don't,
like this. We don't like these people. We don't like this area. It's the same as when we was on about the EDL and places, people like that in this area. They learn it from their parents, and that's the same thing as a gang thing. They learn to hate that area because it's been passed down from their elders that they've looked up to in the street. And it's the same with the EDL. Their parents go, "We don't like these immigrants. We don't like this. We don't like that."
Tradition.
And then the kids go out and say it, and then the younger kids hear them saying it, and
Monkey
it just
see, monkey do.
Exactly.
So because I'm presuming you speak to a lot of these children then at the minute, like how do you approach that? Like, do you go straight in with it, or do you
purely using my own stories?
Yeah.
So like I always say to them at the end of the first session, I would never say to you that I've been through the same thing as you, because I don't like it when people say that, and I think it's unfair to say that. No one's been through your situation. Like everyone handles stuff differently, everyone's brain works differently, and I think it's quite offensive, to be honest, if someone says they've been through that. So I'll say I'll never say that, but I guarantee I've been through something similar, or I know someone that's been through something similar, so I can offer you advice in that way. And I just love sharing stories, and like I did a lot of bad stuff in my life, and I feel like I'm making up for it. And like you can do bad stuff in your life and just leave it as I've done bad stuff, or you can use that bad stuff for good. Like if you've got a history, use that history, because you can impact people with it. And like the people that I work for, there's so many different people. We've got people that have been in prison, we've got people that were drug addicts, like so many people, and their stories are so powerful
and important.
Like, and they're the people that you need working with these kids, because they've been there. Like they can spot an outsider a mile off. As soon as someone's been through a similar lifestyle that they have, then
and
it's
it
nice.
it is so important from learning from, because a lot of people, when somebody's been to prison, somebody's done a bad thing, anything happened, people write them off so quickly. They were like, no, they're prone to doing that. Once done bad, they're gonna do bad. And it's like, no, this guy's been on a journey. We have to do bad. We have to make mistakes to grow from that. People that claim they've never made a mistake have probably not really lived.
Yeah. Or they just need to get their head out their arse and realise that they've made a lot of mistakes. Like, no, you can't not make a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. Just some make bigger mistakes than others.
It's crazy because, to be honest, mate, you've done amazing. Like, outside of all this, a lot of the people that you grew up with, have you seen any little stories of them doing really well and getting out there, or do they look to you and go, Kane, how did you do that?
In terms of St. Anne's, like, when was it? It was last week. I opened the newspaper and someone had been sent down for 11 years that I knew. A couple of weeks before, some lad that I went to primary school with, same year as me, same classes as me. This guy was amazing. Like, he was, you know, that lad in school where you're like, this guy's going to play for Arsenal. He's going to play for Man U. Amazing footballer, incredible. Haven't seen him in years since I was in school, really. And then I opened the newspaper. He's just been sent down for 16 years. Like, wow. I won't go into details of what it's about, but
your
16.
stomach, as soon as you see it,
yeah, and
like...
it was just such a shame because, like, that's the last memory I have of him. This guy's going to do so well for himself. Like, he's going to go and play football for all these amazing teams, and he's just lost, like, the entirety of his life, basically.
And not to, like, bring it down, like, but I've had it with a person recently where I was like, that's the happiest person I ever meet. If I, you know, you don't see him for ages, and you're like, fingers crossed, like, when we cross paths, he's going to make me feel better. And you suicide.
Yeah.
And you're just like, the concepts you build up of people are completely invalid to what reality is a lot of the time. And yeah, that's pretty striking what you said to me there.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
So with the schools at the minute and everything you're doing, like, are you worried about the times we're in as well, or are you quite optimistic?
I worry a lot.
I
worry about the kids that I work with because, like, I always say this to the kids as well. I'm very open with the kids. Like, I think it's important to show who, like, you never put on a front. Like, it's important to show who you really are to these kids to encourage them to do the same. Otherwise, like, they end up bottling stuff up. So I always tell them, like, if I'm worried about them or worried about the times, and we sit and have those conversations. But yeah, I worry about them all the time because, like, I see a lot of myself in them, and I know what I was doing when I was younger behind closed doors and stuff like that. So yeah, I worry about them a lot, especially in times like this, because structure and routine is very important. When that structure and routine goes out the window, that's when your head goes out the window.
Chaos. We've never lived through anything like this, and nobody, and my grandparents haven't. They've said this is a completely new time. So the way of ordering it is gonna be whatever we come up with is brand new. We're coming up with completely new ways of living.
It's just weird. And like, whenever people ask me what are your thoughts on it, it's weird. It's really weird. Like, I don't know.
We're gonna do our best.
I don't really know how to put it into words. It's just strange, and you just got to adapt and overcome and fight through it as best you can, I guess.
So let's go to the creativity part of things then.
Okay.
Like, you should have a bit of time then at the minute to, you know, work on collaborations, work on your own music.
Say that. I can try.
Fingers crossed. See how things pan out. But have you got any things coming up? I know Unknown Era obviously formulating and brewing up things all the time.
The album's ready, the album's done. We had an album launch planned, but we've had to scrap it because of coronavirus, which was, I'm not going to go into details just in case some miracle happens and we can do it, but it was amazing. The lineup was amazing, the location was amazing, the venue was a one-off, incredible thing. It's just sad. So Unknown Era's album, we've just got new merch. Unknown Era is on the ball now. Like I've
noticed.
Like,
it seems, I love what you're doing at the minute with the filmmaking side of things. You've got Raph on your team, haven't you?
Yeah, we're on it. We've got a theme. We've got, like, it's on it. I've done something with Loz, the trumpet player from Unknown Era. So he makes hip hop as well.
Wow.
Goes under the name of Atta. Check it out. ATTA. So I can't remember the exact date that this comes out, but it's soon. So in the next few weeks, I've done 2 tracks on his EP, and then I'm doing solo stuff, solo-ish stuff as well. I'm looking into doing some trad folk, like Irish folk music and traveller folk. So
you do spin plates though, even though you're like, I need to know this, and this, and it's like,
I want to do everything.
You do everything.
But I need to, like, clone myself or something.
Have you always had that attitude as well, or did it come when you got into...
when I was a kid? Like, I got excited by so many things. Like, I wanted to be a whitewater rafter at one point. Then I wanted to be a footballer. Then I wanted to be a boxer. Then I wanted to be a Shaolin monk. I wanted to go to China and study. all I had to do was watch a documentary or go somewhere with my granddad or something like for the weekend, and I'd be like, I want to do that. I wanted to be a red coat at Butlins.
Right. And I mean, you've still got time, man. All of this is possible. Yeah. I trust if anybody's going to do it.
Should do a bucket list of jobs. Yeah. Like, just go around the world, do it. Like, Shaolin monk, red coat.
Amazing. Like, so I just love your story. And did music, I don't want to say something really cliche now, but I'm gonna, like,
go on.
Was it a saving grace? Like, was creativity a part of, because I know you and can I say this, like the football hooligan-y side of things, you were you were in like bad crowds, let's say, anyway.
Yeah.
So you were
I wasn't really involved in that. So I knew people that were involved in that. I was involved in other stuff.
Has music always been in the midst of it?
So as generic as it sounds, ever since I was little, music's always been there, man. Like I used to record myself on VHS, listening to Elvis songs, like miming with the guitar. I used to love Elvis when I was a little kid. So music's always been a big thing. Like I've always wanted to learn instruments and stuff like that. But when I started getting in trouble and slipping off the path, music slipped off the path as well. Like a lot of people say music was still there with them through it, but for me it wasn't. Like, and it was only meeting someone who I class this guy as like my turning point. So obviously people
I wanted to hear about that.
Yeah. So Courtney Rose, you won't mind me saying his name, from Take One Studios in Radford. So his brother Trevor in CRS Studios in St Anne's. So he kind of put me on the path. So when I got kicked out of school and went to a Pru, like I end up getting kicked out of there eventually as well. But while you're there, they have you half of the week there and then half of the week on a provision. So doing something that you want to do. They didn't have a music one at the time, and then they found Take One and sent me there. So I started going there, taught me how to build studios, record, mix, master, do videos. They had gym classes there. It was cool. And then when I got kicked out of school, obviously all the funding for my education went. I'd been kicked out of a Pru, so that was my last chance. Like there was nothing for me to do now, like no GCSEs, nothing. And Courtney said, just keep coming, like I'll get you a music qualification, come 5 days a week. And then after I finished school at 16, I stayed on for like another year, volunteering, working there, getting my CV up. And then I started working, like, cause I was a criminal at the time as well. So I started actually working with other criminals while I was on tag myself and stuff. And because of that, that's how I got into youth work, because I didn't have the qualifications, but I had years of experience from working at Take One on my CV. And he was just like, when everyone else kind of not gave up on me, but when all of my opportunities ran out and my chances ran out, he was still there for me. And
was it like starting out as sort of petty crime? And do you think it was building
no,
up?
No, it was my I still did stupid stuff. Like I love just smashing things up and like writing my name places that I shouldn't write it. Like, but no, it was because of my upbringing. It was purely my temper. So I'm a strong believer in nurture and nature. Yeah. I believe some people are born angrier than people, some people are born sadder than other people, and then your environment shapes that and how you learn to project it and vent it and release it. So me, I was born very angry. Like
is that genetically?
I think genetic. Yeah.
Okay.
So like my son's got a nasty temper. Like he doesn't project it in the way that I did, but you can see like some people are angrier than other people. My mum said when I was a baby, I used to scream, cry, and then I'd hold my breath until my face went blue and I'd pass out. This is before I could even speak. So like anger was definitely there. Like I was an angry child. And then because of the upbringing I had in certain aspects of my life and seeing aggression growing up and seeing anger growing up, I learned to project that anger that I already had in the only way I knew how, which was fighting. So like school, that's where all the trouble came from. So I never sometimes, like a lot of the things that I got arrested for and a lot of the serious crimes that I did, I never went out looking for that trouble. It was just I'd get into a situation where something had happened and I'd end that situation in the wrong way and get arrested for it.
And you were with like adults or like teachers that couldn't comprehend, like, why is this child so angry? What's happening here? And they just go with the only thing they knew, which was to shout at you or say, don't do that.
Which didn't work.
And this mentor, sorry, what was his name? Who you
Courtney.
went to? Courtney.
Courtney, yeah.
Did he have a completely different attitude towards it, or had he been there?
The whole organisation of Take One itself was different, just because it's smack bang in the centre of Radford.
Yeah.
Like, they're all from similar backgrounds to me, and they talk to you that way. So
Yeah.
it wasn't an authority thing or anything like that. If you were being a knob,
Yeah.
they'd tell you were being a knob. You know what I mean? But in the same way that we spoke, so it wasn't, you're being disgraceful. You're
Yeah,
going to go
yeah.
to detention. It's like, oi, sort yourself out. Don't talk to me like that. Like, wait, you know what I mean? Like, it was different. They'd speak to us how we spoke, and
Yeah.
we just had so much respect for them. Like,
Yeah,
and it's kind of
yeah.
what I do, you know. I was saying I can relate to people's situation. I speak to them how I know they're gonna react best. It's the same kind of thing there.
That's amazing. Do you still keep in touch with Courtney now? Like,
I was in touch with him recently. Yeah. I need to go back
and
and
is he
see him.
seeing
I haven't
your
seen him.
progression and what you're
Yeah,
doing?
yeah,
and
yeah. So
everything?
like, it was the 15-year anniversary about 4 years ago of the studio, and he invited me there.
Wow.
That was nice. Yeah.
And it's still going
I
strong, the
performed
studio.
it actually. Yeah, it still goes strong. Yeah. And
Where is it? Sorry,
it's in Radford. It's in Radford. In fact, it's on it's near Forest Recreation Ground now. It's it's on the same road as the New Art Exchange.
Okay,
like
yeah, I know it.
Hyson Green area.
This is amazing. I need the one thing I sort of I don't know if it's jealousy, envy, something's there, but it's the one I never really had that saving grace till really late on in my childhood. Because for me, I was at school, living on a farm. You're quite isolated.
Yeah.
So we're in an area where BMP EDL. Already there's a one way of thinking. Now my granddad, as you were talking about ancestries and stuff, he's a Persian.
Oh wow.
So he come over here.
Yeah.
My mum's a Mullen Feroz and I'm a Markham.
Yeah.
And he's a doctor in the area. So this Persian man's come over, started healing people, and everyone's like, "Oh right, we like him."
Yeah.
But the rest of you, anybody a tinge of any other shade of colour,
yeah.
get out.
It's mad, isn't it, how people's mentalities work.
Yeah, and they all liked him, so that was cool. And my mum, their name and family sort of got accepted and cared for and was like cool, but being a Markham, nobody knew I was relation to that.
Yeah.
So I had a liberal family out in the sticks, a bit out there, and then I'd go to school and I had a bit of a warped vision, I suppose. It wasn't like everyone else's.
Yeah.
So I was an outcast, and the one thing everyone used to think was like I was a rich kid. And it's like, if you lived, if you knew farms, we have no bloody money. It all goes in one hand, goes out
And
the
it's
other.
hard work, man. It's not like it's been
constant.
handed to you or anything like
Exactly.
that. Like, I'm guessing if you grow up on a farm, you're made to work from a young age. You need to get up
Completely.
early in the morning and do all the stuff that needs doing.
You spend
don't
a
get
lot
a
of time on
weekend.
your own. You get up at 6 and you're working till 7.
Yeah.
So it's we put a lot of effort on here. So going to schools, my mum was very busy and things like that. I'd not been shown how to be around other kids, and I was just confused in honesty. So I used to play up a little bit in this confusion and wanting to be accepted. So they used to, instead of like dealing with me, they just sent me to my nan's house. And I worked out when I was at my nan's house, they used to feed me Marmite sandwiches and play Xbox.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Decent.
this is good. Yeah. So basically, I learned quite early on when you say nurture and nature, like my nurturing. If I was naughty, it was kind of a reward to go to nan's house.
Yeah.
So that was primary school, and I eventually like got asked to leave there. Then I had to go at secondary school, and the bullying just kicked in really hard because I was a fat kid after being at my nan's house all the time.
all those Marmite sandwiches.
So then I'm from this area where I didn't really understand what was going on, and it basically just ordered me to play up as much as I could, and I really, really struggled then. And I just didn't have a saving grace. I didn't have somebody going, do you know what you'd be good at? That you could try this or you could try that.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. So I ended up working on the farm. I was like, I can't do this. I don't want to be here. And I just got pretty much asked to leave. And it went from there. So I went after that travelling, trying out lots of different things, unknowing. And then suddenly I met a guy at a gig once, Martin Illingworth, big shout out.
Big up.
And he just seen something in me then. He was like, oh, you seem pretty different in the way you think. Would you want to come into university and try teaching the NQTs your thoughts? And my education and things like that, going back into schools, come from there. But I would have loved at school to meet a Courtney, meet somebody that's like, I know you've been told you're dyslexic, dyspraxic, ADHD, all these things. But should we try and play with that? Should we try and turn it around to your side rather than just
when
be
when I do my sessions, I always did big up Courtney at the end and say like, oh, this is the guy that like changed me and stuff like that. And it was actually one of the kids that said, no, it wasn't. And then I was like, like, what are you on about? Like, I've just told you, can't tell me about my life. That was me that's just told you. He's like, no. He's like, it was you. And then I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, Courtney might have impacted you, but at the end of the day, it was you that made those decisions to change. And I was just like,
I got goosebumps. You just saying that. I just
like,
got goosebumps.
This is like a year 10 lad that's just like cut me off and said, actually, it was you. And ever since he said that, I have changed the session and said, and it was partially my choice as well. But that's what I mean. Like, it's like nurturing nature's been a massive thing in my life now. And yes, Courtney did have that impact on me and stuff like that, but after that, being on tag was a big thing as well, and having all the time to myself and having to be indoors, just getting to know myself. And because I just thought I was angry, and my whole life I thought there was something wrong with me. My mum used to take me to the doctors for like thinking I had ADHD. Or why is my kid so violent? Why is my kid like this? And my whole life I was constantly searching for what was wrong, and then figuring out nurturing nature. Like I got diagnosed with like trauma-based mental illness when I was younger because of stuff that happened to me when I grew up, and realized that because of stuff that happened to me when I was younger, male confrontation is something that I couldn't deal with. So like trauma is like a scar to your skin, so your skin gets tougher so that it doesn't get injured in that place again. It's the same on the brain. If you go through a traumatic situation, your brain develops coping mechanisms to deal with that situation again if you ever end up in it. So for me, it was blacking out and being violent. So if I ever had any male confrontation or someone squaring up to me because of stuff that happened to me when I was younger, like violence at home, my brain would just go, no, you can't deal with this, smack them. You know what I mean? And starting to piece that together and going, hang on. So maybe, like, throughout this is what I say to the kids as well when I do anger management. My anger management is very different. So I would say to them, in school, you're taught that anger is a bad thing. You need to get rid of anger. And that's not true. Anger is an energy, and it's a very powerful energy if you use it in the right way. Bob Marley was angry. Martin Luther King was angry. All of these people that changed the world were angry. They just vented it in a very different way. And I always say to them, if someone stood up now and flipped a table over and threw it at the wall, first thing everyone's going to do is look at them. You can't ignore it, and that's the anger, that's the energy. So if you take that same energy and put it into something that you're passionate about, whether it's music, art, or anything like that, they won't be able to ignore that either. So I figured that out, and I decided that counting down from 10 is bullshit, because by the time I got to 5, I've already smacked him, and I'm on top of him, wailing on him, like, that's not going to work. Breathing ain't going to work, because my heart rate's like, being angry is like being high. Your pupils dilate, your jaws clench, you're sweaty and stuff like that. I learned the best thing for me was staying out of certain situations. It's been years now since I've lost my temper and got into a fight, and that's because I know what situations I can get into and what situations I can't. If I'm I have to say this to the kids that I work with, if I'm at a bar in town and I want to go and get a drink and there's a guy at the bar throwing his arms around, shouting, throwing money at the staff, I know that I can't go over to the bar and get a drink because me and him are going to fight. He's going to say something to me, he's going to put his hand on me, and I'm not going to be able to handle it. So I just wait and don't go to the bar. I wait for that guy to go, or the security to remove him. And that's it. Anger isn't bad. It's just, it's finding the situations. Yeah, exactly. It's channeling it. It's powerful if you use it right.
Can I just say, like, thank God you're doing your job that you're in. Like, I'm honestly, as a friend to you, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you,
and
mate.
I'm so happy that you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Because that is power, what you just said. Everything you said then, I went to an epiphany here and then over here, and I was like, oh, it's a scar on you. Oh, wow. Absolutely fantastic what you're doing, man.
Thank you so much.
What you said there as well, I work with a company called Independent Thinking. I was doing a documentary recently that we're filming, and it's on children that deal with grief at a young age. So lose a mum, lose a dad, lose an uncle.
Yeah, I'm actually working with some kids on that at the minute.
I was at this company called Winston's Wish, and they're an amazing charity. Sorry, it's a charity, not a company. And, they're making loads of money, them. They're doing incredible work, and the guy I mainly work for, Ian Gilbert, and he wouldn't mind me saying this, I know, he's got a book out called The Little Book of Loss, and he gives loads of practical, great ideas working with these children. I'm going to get you the book, because I think
please, because
really
I'm trying to plan a session around grief at the minute.
And you know, he lost his wife quite earlier, when their children were about 7, 8, really young.
Wow.
And just hearing their stories, hearing how that knocked on their mental health, hearing how that affected them at school. Some schools worked fantastically for them.
Yeah, and some of them don't do the work they need to.
But one thing in the interview that struck me was, you know, his maybe anger towards the situation, sadness towards the situation, all these things. He actually didn't want to let go of yet, because he was channeling it in making the book, making a documentary, making all these things. And he was like, he didn't you know, the end step towards this is letting go, they say, or like acceptance and understand and all these. And he was like, it was one thing that really struck me when he said it, but he's like, I didn't want to let go of it yet because it was making him do all these things. And it's like, seems like you've come to an understanding of all these things that happen to you, but you feel like you're a man on a mission still with doing this.
It's crazy because I guess like you're kind of playing with fire, like because I used to write my best songs like when I was struggling with my mental health, like when I was at my lowest point, like these amazing songs would just fall out of my head, and then when I was fine or dealing well with life, it was like, oh, can't write, you know what I mean? I guess like with him, he wanted to dwell in that anger and
Feel
stuff like that, and it's a dangerous thing. Like you have to be careful, I guess. But like it just reminded me of some of the songs I used to write when I was a bit younger.
You've just stimulated something in me there, like, but like that's why I got into poetry. Full stop. I was just this one day got a phone call from my dad. I won't go too much into it because I say it on every podcast, but it was the pivotal moment in my time of poet of like, he said, oh, your mate's been stabbed and this has happened back home. And it was like, instead of doing the drugs, the sex, all them things, I had nothing that, and I just wrote. And I was always told dyslexic and all these things. I just stayed away from it, but I wrote, and it was the most cathartic, beautiful feeling I've ever had. And I was like, I've got a superpower. And the funny thing is, like, going in the years we've known each other, writing has been my tool. But when things are going good, it's quite tricky.
You can't write about anything, can you? There's nothing really to write about. It's like if you can't write about anything bad that's happening in your life, you just end up writing about politics. But
we're gonna change
but like the majority of that's what I love about Unknown Era. Like the songs that I write for Unknown Era, they sound so happy. Like you can dance to them, you can skank out, but if you listen to the lyrics, there's so many like deeper meanings, like Eyes of Innocence. Like not many people knew what that was really about. Weekend Tales is about like drug addiction and like not being able to stop drinking and stuff like that.
That's my main thing for you. Like I'm stood when I'm watching Unknown Era, which I've probably done over 100 times now.
Thank you. That's how you support music.
Unknown Era. And I love you guys. But I'm literally, when you're on, everyone's bopping around me, mosh pitting, doing these mad things. You're performing to hundreds now, man. I know you've done thousands, and that's just incredible. But when you get on the mic, I literally stand still and I listen, and I'm just like, that guy's got not just a heart, but like this conscious stream that you're actually telling people in the midst of the madness again. And I'm just like, wow, to be able to do all that. But
it is bizarre because people are dancing, having a good time, but there's also that deeper message there. It's like a mixture of everything. It's like if you were going to brainwash anyone, like it'd be the best way to do it. Like really catchy music, but with subliminal messages.
When you're in that trance or that writing or whatever you're doing when you're doing the lyrics, have you had a moment where you were just like, where's that come from? Where did all...
That's how all the best songs happen. If I sit down and like try and force a song, it don't really happen. It just kind of comes to me. It's like it's like almost like they get sent to you, I guess. They just kind of fall into your head.
You need
like all of my best songs I wrote in like 15 minutes. So like Weekend Tales I wrote at like 6 a.m. after a big...
You're not on Spotify. Where can people listen to it? Because please, wherever you are, listen to Kane's songs. Like, listen, I know you know what.
No, we are. Yeah, we're on Spotify, Google Music,
but like your old
Apple,
school stuff.
Oh, my old school stuff.
Because that's
Ashmore,
powerful.
Yeah, ashmore.bandcamp.com.
Ashmore.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, that's all the old. Like, not many people that listen to Unknown Era realise that when you knew me, there was a time before
I didn't,
Unknown
and
Era
it was like the best discovery of my life. Like, I went on to there and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And you are like literally listen to the ramblings of a madman.
Yeah, that's right. The EP is called Looniology, isn't it? So it's when my mental health wasn't at the best. Like
it's amazing though the way you managed to put that across. Some people are gifted, and you got gifted with that talent of being able to put it across in a digestible way. You know, like a lot of people want to over metaphorize is a word I found out the other day, but all these things, but I'm just listening to that like the streets or something like that. I'm like, it's telling me as it is. I need that. Yeah. It's how I want to digest
and I always try and do it in a way, like if you notice, I'll never talk about a particular situation. I'll always talk about the way something's made me feel or something like that. And the reason I do that is so that so many people can relate it to their lives. Yeah. So it's not, oh, this happened to me. It's like, something happened to me and this is how I feel, this is what I got from it, and then someone can listen to it and go, oh, that's kind of like how I felt when I went through this situation, you know what I mean? So I like to do it so that the songs are for everybody, not just the people that have been through the same as me.
Have you felt you're writing? Have it emerged recently? Have you been writing again? How have you
Yeah, I was ill.
yeah.
With the worst flu of my life a couple of weeks ago, and I had 2 weeks off work, and have I ever been so creative? Like, I was just stuck in the house, literally didn't leave for 2 weeks, so I wrote 3 or 4 new Unknown Era songs, about 4 new folk songs, and also learnt a few songs on the concertina, which is obviously the Irish.
I don't understand you sometimes, honestly. I can't wait to just see the one-man show. I'm going to get you on the busking session.
Well, I said, yeah, when I do the busking session, I'll do some folky stuff.
I want a one-man show, but I just want all these instruments attached to you. You can do a little book reading as well, everything. You're doing everything at the minute, man. So, yeah, what were you going back to old parts of your life when you were writing these lyrics, or what?
Yeah,
I saw Ella, your partner, recently on a night out. Me and Chrissy were out, and she was like, "Yeah, he did it. Like, he's creative at the minute. He did a song in like 15 minutes." Showed me. I was like, "That's one of your best songs." So,
yeah.
Interested.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what the Unknown Era songs are about.
Okay.
But they're always personal. Yeah,
Okay.
always personal. There's a new song at the end of the Unknown Era album, which is like, for me, it's definitely one of the best things I've ever written. It's called Alive, and it's about drug addiction essentially. But you'll have to wait for the album to come out. But like everyone that I've played it to has been like, you know, when you've done something magic, kind of. Like I've played it to people and they've just gone, fuck.
There's just a no there. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so I'm really, really happy with that. And there's no band. It's just, it ends the album acoustic, just me singing.
Mate.
And it's about like, so I'll tell you the chorus. So it's, we seek the things that kill us to keep us alive, which is obviously...
We seek the things that kill us to keep us alive.
Yeah, so obviously that's a hint to the drugs and the alcohol and stuff. But yeah, it's...
Mate, you're going to be writing the scriptures, you know. Now.
Well, after the apocalypse, you'll find my notebook and
Kane
go,
Ashmore said.
Whoa.
It must be really interesting as the dynamic of how many's in the band?
9.
And are you allowed to just go, this is what I've wrote, and they'll all listen? Are they allowed input then, or
that's
is that your
that's
song?
how I write. I can't write with other people.
Yeah.
So like I found that hard when I did hip hop as well. People would invite me to their studios and we'd sit there and write together, but I'd have to take it away with me.
Yeah.
And then write on my own. It's a very personal thing, writing for me. So what I'd do is I'd get the guitar, I'd make the chords, write the lyrics, finish the whole song, like verse, chorus, and then I still do it now. So I record it on my phone and send it to the band chat, and then they'll learn it. And then I tell them to all have their inputs. If someone says, "Oh, I can do a solo there," then that's what we'll do. And that's why Unknown Era sounds so mad, because I picked people from all those different backgrounds on purpose. So everyone's got different musical influences. And I was just like, I don't want all of the... Because I used to make all my own beats myself. I used to write myself, record myself. And I was like, no, I just want to do the framework, the skeleton work, and just see what mad sound we can make. And that's why Unknown Era is what it is. Like, it's just this big mashup of craziness. And I love it.
I mean, that's got to be on the album somewhere. They're just a big mashup of craziness.
Yeah.
The fairest way to put you guys, to be honest.
We was on BBC Introducing last week, and Dean Jackson, who's supported me since I was 17. Like he's always played my music, and he said, not exactly like this, but he said we were the best live band ever.
Yeah.
So so he didn't really say that. He said it along those lines, but we took that quote and put it on our Bandcamp, like quoted by the BBC. BBC says these guys are the best live band ever.
You can always tailor things to really suit you, can't you?
Yeah.
The BBC said.
That's what the media do to everybody else. So we can do it once.
I know we're in the Corona times and that, but has Unknown Era come up with any ideas of how you're going to showcase yourself still? Are you going to keep on doing these films?
We had a lot of stuff planned, which we've had to cancel, which is quite sad. But you can't let it bother you. Like, whereas, like, I always say to people, don't worry about stuff that's not in your control. Like, if you can't control it, there's no point worrying about it, because there's nothing you can do about it anyway. So we just adapt and overcome. So we're going to do... We haven't even announced this yet, but I don't mind announcing it. It's Mikey, innit? It's the old farm boss. So
Wrapping it.
We're going to do a live gig on Facebook.
Amazing.
When does this come out?
Soon, to be fair, yeah.
When's soon, then?
Where are we now, mate? Where are we?
Saturday.
It comes out. By next Saturday,
next Saturday. So live stream potentially next Saturday. So if this comes out on Friday, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
If it comes out on Thursday, etc., etc. So yeah, we're gonna try and do that. Maybe we're going to try and get other people involved, see if we can get it nice and professional with multiple cameras and stuff like that. But if not, it'll just be in someone's living room.
I'm happily to come along and help you out, guys. I'd love that.
Yeah, that'd be good, actually. But yeah, just maybe a little acoustic set because of the whole isolation thing. And some of our members are isolating at the minute, like Gaz and Molly and people like that. But yeah, and then at the end, I just wanted to do a chat. You could, on the Facebook live streams, you can invite people to share video, can't you? So that you're both on it together. So just sit there and chat to people and hear how they're holding up, and just make people feel comfortable. Like, cause like the people that we hang around with, like, we're so used to going out and socializing with people, and especially if you struggle with mental health or anything like that, which a lot of musicians and creatives do. So it's important to try and bring back that level of normality, I guess.
And this one thing, like, now I can move on to on that mental health thing, and it's popped in my mind. It was like the Tyson Fury come to mind then.
I love Tyson.
Needed to say, because Kane, I've also, in all the what we've been talking about, gone to your creative side, gone to your school, all these things. I've been and seen you have a boxing fight now.
Yeah, you have.
I've been and that's something we really formulated.
I never realised how much stuff I dipped my fingers into until people mentioned.
We formulated a friendship over that, and that's just as soon as I put a pair of boxing gloves on with this guy. Gordon Watson's was my trainer, and I was about 18 then, and that was probably my first mentor, really, of somebody that listened to me.
Steve Papp, do you know Steve Papp?
Yeah.
So I used to train with Steve when I was on the youth offending team. Still see him now, we train at the same gym. So when I was on the youth offending team, Steve used to train me when I was a little wrong. And
I've never met him, but you just hear all these people, and you're like, okay, Clifton Mitchell, and then lots of names in there that all sort of like, there's cliques, isn't there? But boxing, when I came to see you, I was like a bit nervous. I didn't know how I felt, because I used to be in the ring and I knew them feelings you got.
It's so different, isn't it, when you get in the ring, because like I'm so used to scrapping on the streets and being in some awful situations, but having hundreds of people watch you do that is kind of different. And
it's you've been set up in this special space to do it.
There's and the head guards, I hate head guards. They make it so
difficult.
Rid of them,
actually.
Really? What, for unlicensed? Unlicensed, you don't have to have it anyway.
Amateur everything, I believe, because it's more dangerous.
It is more dangerous. This is what I was saying to someone. So I'd been sparring, like training hard up until that fight, and then I was doing something, I think they call it like Shark Tank, where you're the main person and you got like 7 people sparring you, but you only get 20 seconds rest, like 10. Like 10 seconds rest.
Here, mate, this will toughen you up.
So 2 minutes with one person, 10 seconds rest, 2 minutes with another person, and they're still going full pelt. You've just got to try and survive. And I'd been doing that, no head guard or anything. I was fine, never had concussion or anything like that. After that fight, because of the head guard, I had concussion for like 2 weeks after. Because obviously the size of the glove and the size of the head guard, whenever they punch you, you're like, boom.
But the thing
your
is,
head
like,
bounces.
When you punch normally without a head guard, it goes a certain way.
Yeah.
There's so many moments where you're getting hit, and it's not
your
a clean hit, but it's just bouncing everywhere.
Yeah, and you get whiplash and concussion and horrible. Like, it was horrible afterwards. Like, I'd never felt like that before. Probably because I went out and celebrated on the town afterwards as well, directly after.
And was that something that they at school tried to get you into for the mental health side of things, or boxing? Because that always
didn't really have anything like
nothing
that.
like that.
Yeah,
so how did you get into it? What
rugby.
happened to boxing? Like, because I love that was part of your story.
I'd always wanted to, like, I went to clubs and stuff. I never stuck at anything for long, so I went to clubs and stuff when I was younger, but never really did it. And then I don't know how I did it. I just kind of went into it.
And are you gonna have another fight, or is there anything?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to. Like, so obviously that one was more like the head guards and stuff. So I want to do it unlicensed next time. But
I'll just say, like, I felt when I was watching you, I've got a few little techniques that I just thought, Kane's this sort of fighter, he would work well with this. Do you think you want to come and take some pads?
I wasn't training very well at that time. Like, I feel very fit at the minute.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing a lot of weight training and stuff like that. And like, I look back at the video of that fight, and I'm quite.
Do you have the video?
It's awesome. Recorded on a phone.
Perfect.
Like,
that'll do.
But yeah, my physique isn't like the guy that was. This is the most annoying.
What was he, a Marine?
He was a weight class higher than me. He was like 10 kg heavier than me, which in boxing is illegal.
Yeah. There's a reason they have weight classes.
So every time he punched me, felt
They're
it.
even thinking of having more weight classes now, so you were really close to your weight.
Yeah,
like,
so the last person I was talking to, he was like saying to me which weight class I'd rather go in, because I'm 200 pounds, so I can either go.
What's
up,
that in kg? Just because I work from
so like 90 kg.
90 kg.
So I can either go up or down, like, but I think I'd rather go down. I don't
My
want to fight in
first
that big
fight
class.
in amateur, I went to Alexandra Palace in
Yeah,
London, and it's called, I can't remember what the boxing competition's called, but you could have fought in Wembley in the end, like in a big competition. It's amazing. But I got knocked out in the first round. But I've had a really close fight with this guy. I can't remember his name now, but he fights for the UK.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And it was amazing. But all that happened to me, I came out and I was just throwing it over and right. So my punches were like really effective because it looked like it hurt him every time.
Yeah, but eventually he's going to predict what you're going to do. And
exactly,
bang,
and he just
and
knew to get the points in. So he's doing all this point scoring and that.
That was a different thing as well. Like I went into boxing with some like naivety, I guess, and just ignorance. Like I've been fighting my whole life. I'll be all right. And then you get in there and someone just goes bang, bang, bang. And you're like, whoa, this is really hard. This is so different. And the conditioning as well. That's something that I struggled with. Like having smoked like the majority of my life. I quit smoking for that fight. I still don't smoke now. Hallelujah.
I like that. I like that. You need your lungs, brother.
Yeah, unless I've had a drink, then I smoke. But yeah, so like the conditioning and like that was the thing. Like I conditioned myself quite hard when I was training, and then when you get in the ring, the nerves take your conditioning away from you.
Saps.
And obviously I got excited. I landed that really good cross on him, and
tried to run in and
got
take
so excited.
it.
I can remember my coach was in the corner jumping up and down, going, "Stop! Stop! Stop!" And then I stopped, and I realised why he was screaming stop, because I was like,
and
you get excited.
You're taking a punch, you're throwing a punch, you're holding, you're squeezing, all these things, and you just think, I can, because it doesn't sound very long, does it?
2 minutes go so
3 minute
long.
rounds.
They drag out when you're in there, man.
I just want to ask you, like, for the rematch of Wilder Fury.
Who do you think I'm going to say? Who do you think I'm going to say?
How good was that fight?
Oh my god!
We were
so I was on my own. I watched it. Oh yeah, we were, weren't we? We were talking on Facebook.
I had a few drinks at this point, but I was
on
crying.
my own. I was on my own. Ella stayed at her mate's house, so I was like, oh yeah, I watched it on my own, and I stood up for the whole fight.
Yeah.
Like as soon as he was walking around, I was pacing, and I was sober. Like I was pacing through my living room, going, come on. It's like I knew him. Like he's one of my mates. But, oh man.
Why does boxing do this to you though? Like even my mum and dad, they used to watch boxing back in the day with Tyson, Tyson,
Mike Tyson, Tyson.
Muhammad Ali, and they were watching it all, and it was the most exciting part of their like month, just waiting for this boxing fight, heavyweight division, and then it all tailed off, and now it's back again. It feels like this buzz for it, but what does it do to people? Why are they so tribal?
I don't even know. I don't even know. Maybe it's something to do with humans having this aggressive side to them and the fighting side. I don't know.
And where are you box again? Who are you gonna fight for, or anything like that in this unlicensed place? Do you know?
There is a guy I've got in mind that I might want to train me. I'm not.
Well, I hope you do
yet.
come and take them offers of me doing it on pads.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I've done my ACL and MCL. It's all gone.
So many mates that have done that.
I either have to have a big operation now, which, you know, with the things that are going on, I've had this appointment made, and we don't know how it's going to go. But I think I just want to go into teaching now. I've had my time of being punched in the head.
Incorporate boxing into the teaching as well.
It's amazing. And that's what I've had with kids where I've gone into the schools and they've had them sessions where it's like, I don't know music. But then there's some that just love boxing. And you bring that around and they're like...
gloves out.
And then I'm like, well, okay, because I usually find lyrics with kids that they like and they can relate to. And then there was this kid, Kane. He's my mate. He's a lad.
Such a good name.
Proper lad. But he started off like that. And then I was like, okay. I was just seeing like he had Tyson Fury up and think, oh, he's my hero at the minute. But I was like, okay, let's look at him. He says some of the best things you're ever gonna. He's the lyricist right there.
Him.
He's got the quotes. So we started looking at.
That's ingrained in like traveller culture. Like they get so passionate, and the way that they speak, it's almost like prophecy. Like, I am the greatest man in the world. I am this. I am gonna smash him when comes 22nd of November. And that, like that is building a positive mindset, and it's something that I teach the young children. If you envision something hard enough and believe it hard enough, it will happen. Like, so him, like, it might seem big-headed to some people, but that is him training his mind.
Spirituality in that, like, because when I was going through my mental days and mental health days, I still go through them, but like I was really struggling. You know, I fell to Buddhism, lots of philosophies I was trying out, and I was like, there's got to be something out there, and you know, a lot of it got really lost on me, to be honest. I've got a song out recently that I'm doing with Stingray and the J. I'm really excited about.
That's cool.
It's called Old is Gold.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about all these philosophies I've learnt from people. And it's like, starts out like, why is it every time I write I want to say something profound, maybe the most profound that I've ever found? And it's all about like Buddhism at the start, and it just how it completely got lost on me. But when I started listening to people like yourself, or people like the Streets and Tyson Fury and all these people that still instill this Buddhism, but they just dispense it in the most incredible way. And it's like this quote from Einstein, and he says, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. And I was like, he seems like he's digested all these like ancient scholars, and now he's just telling it to me as it is. And I'm like, oh, these are the people I need in my life. And that's why you going into these schools, you doing everything you're doing, your lyrics, your everything, speaks to me more than anybody has ever spoken to me. These sort of people.
That means a lot.
It's power what you're doing, and it means everything.
Stop it.
So when we get through this crazy business of Corona and all these things, I want to invite you onto the Old Farm bus mission, and we're going for a double decker as well now.
Oh, you told me.
We're getting a little studio space, so we're gonna have 3 little spaces to do crazy things on, anything we want. So can I offer you that position?
Of course.
And you've heard it here first, guys. It's just taking it.
It's a verbal contract on video. No. Like I said to you, I'd love to do something with the Old Farm bus. Definitely. It's cool. No one's doing this.
And just some of the last things we want to expect from you, and I want to bring up, you're looking at writing a book and doing your own podcast.
Yes.
Can you just go on into that a little bit?
The book idea has been something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. I just didn't know what, and I've had so many ideas, but at the minute I wanted to write a book where each chapter, like, it's not like a normal book, but each chapter is just like a story that goes from start to finish. I didn't want to do it like that. I wanted to do it where each chapter is a different story from my life that I feel has impacted me and molded me into the person that I was and the person that I am now.
God, so this book's going to turn into a Hollywood blockbuster one day.
So traumatic things from my past, whether it's from my home life, stuff that I've witnessed, stuff that I've done to other people that I've hurt, 'cause there's stuff that I've done that I know has traumatized me as well. Like, there's been some horrible situations that I've been in, like sometimes where I haven't had a choice and I've had to do stuff, and like they all play, like I said, when I got to understand myself and understand the way my brain works, I can now look at them and go, this is why I do this now, because of that one situation. So each chapter is going to be one of those stories.
Wow.
All the way through, and then at the end I was thinking I can write like a couple of pages about who I ended up being and who I am now, just to show people that every single thing that happens in your life makes you who you are in the future. So like, that was the thing with me with my trauma. I learned not to despise it and not let it destroy me, but if all of that stuff didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am now. And obviously it's not like that for everybody. Like, some people really struggle with their trauma, and I did for a little bit, but it's important to acknowledge that everything that happens in your life makes you who you are in the future. So something like that, but I want to get it out. Like, everyone always says, like, you've got this story, and I look back at it and I go, bloody hell, like, I have got a bit of a story. Like, and like I say, so if something's happened, you can just leave it in the past and say, oh, that was bad, or you can use it and use it to speak to other people. So I want to do that.
I want to, in this, I'd love it if you put some of your lyrics in there as well. Do you know, like
That'd
a little,
be a good idea.
section of it.
You
this
can
was
co-write
that.
it with me. You can edit it.
I know how to get a book published and things for you. So,
you do, because you've got a book.
I can help you out in that way. Anyway,
Let's do it. You can help me.
It's just get writing, man. Any ideas, I know to ping it across to as well. So
nice one. Yeah,
that will happen. I trust that.
Thank you.
And the podcast.
Yeah. So I want to start a podcast. I'm not going to say what it's called, just in case someone steals my idea. But yeah, podcast idea. So obviously people interview musicians, they interview artists, they interview people that are doing stuff. I want to interview your everyday person that's got a story. So like, those conversations that you have in the pub, those conversations that you have with your granddad and stuff like that. Like, everyone's got a story, and some people have got incredible stories. They're just not musicians. They just haven't got a platform. They're just your everyday people. So I want to sit down on a sofa with a cup of tea and have those conversations logged and put onto video. Because I've had some amazing conversations with people in pubs and never seen them again. Or amazing conversations with my granddad that I treasure in my head, and it'd just be so nice.
So you just want to record it and be able to listen to it back.
So just literally sitting there with a cup of tea, that traditional British thing of sitting there and just chatting rubbish. But amazing stories, and that's like... The reason I wanted to do it is because I'd looked through it everywhere else, because like when I have got writer's block or there's nothing going on in my life, I Google like people with powerful stories, and it just comes up with motivational speakers and stuff like that. But I want to hear someone that's been through trauma or been through drug abuse or been not even just that, just their life. Like, I just want to write songs about those people. So
because I love podcasts. Like, I listen to them, the background noise all the time. But because a lot of podcasts do it with purpose, like I'm having this person on and we're going to educate you in this way.
Yeah, we're going to talk about one topic.
It gives me a little bit of anxiety sometimes, because I'm like listening and I'm like, I want to relax now. I want to just be calm. And to have something like that where just real stories are just fun,
rather than a topic,
whatever it is, just thrown at you, to have that as nice like background to just come in and out of, doing the pots and hearing like
just a chat, a little chat. I want it to almost be like you're there, listening to it. You know what I mean? Like you're in the room. Cool. But that's
and have you got any guests lined up in mind? Have you got a few?
Got a few
ideas?
people in mind, but the way I wanted to do it to stop it being so to keep it like impartial and unbiased, not unbiased, that's not the right word, but I want it to be so every person that I interview, they nominate someone that they know, so that I'm never picking them, because I could just go, I know this interesting person, but I want it to be like those random conversations
people
you have in the pub.
You should talk to.
So it's people that I don't even know end up getting nominated.
That's
I know this guy from my childhood. Let me get in touch with him. Or my granddad's really interesting. Let me get my granddad, and then their granddad nominates someone, and so on and so forth.
The one thing with that, like, do you not think you might struggle a little bit because you don't know them, like, or you're just going to say, "Tell me your story"?
I'll get them to briefly. Obviously, you'd have to do it like that. So if the conversation goes dead, I can have some questions that I draw to. Sorry.
It's all right. No, that works. So if people understand.
A bit of techno.
No, that sounds really interesting. Like, and for you, sounds like it's going to grow you in so many ways as well.
It's going to provide me with writing content. Yeah.
I see what you're doing. This is a ploy.
It's something
in writer's block.
It's something. That's what I've done with music as well. Like, I write the music that I want to hear, or I feel like isn't there. So like, I'll search for certain artists and go, oh, no one's done that. I'll do it. Like when I did hip hop, like I did gypsy hip hop. Like, I just mixed like old school gypsy samples with hip hop and did that because I couldn't find anyone that did it.
Gypsy hip hop, beautiful.
And we did Gypsy Grime, obviously, with
I know Gypsy Grime. Motor Mouth on the Gypsy Grime. Never forget. When that happened.
The same thing with the podcast. Like, I've been looking for something like that, so I was like, you know what, I'll do it. If no one else is gonna do it, then I'll do it.
Well, that's what we were talking about.
You know what I love doing on this bus? My favourite animal. It's horses. And like every 5 to 10 minutes, a beautiful horse walks past.
Just pops in. I mean, I've had it recently where I'm doing this podcast, and you've just got my mum who's hard as nails, and this horse is broke loose. She's like, "You bastard!" and tell me how that time was for you. Tell me these lovely moments. So Kane, I know you've got a lot to do today still. We've got a bus.
You've got a lot to do. They've got a bloody gig on this bus tonight. He's going to set that up.
And you've got a date night, so just as important, let's be honest.
Well, I'm going to see if she fancies coming back up here, maybe. Well,
it'd be lovely.
We're supposed to be isolating, aren't you?
I know. We're doing our best. We're going to live stream stuff and things. But I want to
get a few beers and watch the live stream, maybe.
Yeah, that's that. Well, I'll be waving it. I'll be talking to you.
Because I work in schools, I should really be...
isolating.
Yeah. What's the word? Considerate. Considerate is the word.
So when people want to follow all your stuff, just throw us out all the platforms and places that you've got coming up. And
Unknown Era.
Yep.
Just Google us, get us on Facebook. Just if you search it on Facebook, search it on YouTube, search it everywhere. I need to stop banging stuff. It'll come up. And the album is coming soon. Like very, very soon. The date isn't officially out. Ooh, did you hear the horse?
Yeah, there's the horse's name.
The album is coming soon. 18 tracks. If you go to Q Rates, that's Q rates.
Nice.
And search Unknown Era. We've got a pre-order of the double vinyl available, and we need to sell 100 copies to get this printed. We're on 60 at the minute,
okay.
but because of the times and Corona and stuff, the sales have slowed down.
Yeah.
Also thinking of an idea of a gift that everyone will get if they do this. So have a look at that as well. ashmore.bandcamp.com for all of my old stuff. And just keep an eye on the Unknown Era page. Anything that I'm doing or they're doing will be on the Unknown Era page. And I think we should do a part 2 of this as well, because I feel like we spoke about some good stuff and we can go a bit more in depth.
I think we've got a lot to talk about, me and you.
Yeah, I really
I'd love to
enjoyed
come
that.
on your podcast, whatever it's called. I know you've got the idea,
yeah.
but...
Bleep it out.
I'll get rid of that. Nobody's nicking that.
Please bleep it and keep that clip.
I'll promise to bleep that. Okay, right, folks. Thank you if you've joined us all for this. I think we've gone surpassed an hour.
Really?
So yeah, man.
Nice. See, part 2.
If
we
you've
need
joined
a
us
part 2.
for this long, thank you so much. This is the Back of the Bus sessions. At the minute, we're in crazy times. If you think you've got an interesting story, if you think you've got something to say, if you want to get involved in any way, please do. We're on all the social platforms as well. You'll find us somewhere at the Old Farm Bus.
Support it. It's amazing.
Oh,
and if you get the
so
opportunity, come to one of the gigs, because it's such a cool location. It's an American school bus. It's not every day you get to sit on an American school bus.
It's Otto's school bus. Otto. I love The Simpsons. Sorry,
Mikey, thank you so much for having me, man. I've
massive
really
love,
enjoyed
brother.
this.
Are we gonna I get attachment issues, bro. I don't know how to end things a lot of the time. Should we high five?
It's Corona though. We can elbow. We can elbow.
I'd elbow you, but I can't reach. Air elbow. We're trying to elbow, folks. We've elbowed. We've just elbowed. See you later, people. Peace and love.
Thank you.